Welcome to Evermore Love, where hearts ascend. Hey there, radiant hearts. Welcome or welcome home to Evermore Love, the channel that turns pages of passion into pathways for your English dreams. If this is your first flutter with us, settle in. We're about to embark on a story that climbs from chance encounters to soul-deep bonds. Today's fresh-baked tale, We Share One Elevator, is a slow-burn romance laced with vulnerability and victory. Perfect for intermediate learners, with its evocative descriptions and natural dialogue that feels like a whispered secret. Before we press that up button on the story, a quick, genuine nudge. We're teetering on the edge of 1,000 subscribers, and your click could be the lift that gets us there. If these words wrap around you like a favorite scarf, subscribe today. It's your golden ticket to more magic. And for the story's full ascent, watch it all the way through. The views get breathtaking at the top. Let's surge to 1K, one devoted watch at a time. Lights dim, anticipation up. Story time. We share one elevator. The Hawthorne Residences rose like a silver sentinel in the heart of Seattle. Its 42 floors a mosaic of hurried lives stacked one atop the other. Rain perpetually kissed the windows, turning the city into a watercolor blur, and the elevators, those sleek steel boxes, were the reluctant confessors of its residents' quiet dramas. Mia Ellis, 29 and newly orphaned by the city's relentless churn, had claimed apartment 1807 3 months ago. She'd fled the echoey house in Spokane after her mother's quiet passing from cancer, trading family photos for potted ferns and a job as a junior editor at an indie press downtown. Mornings found her in oversized sweaters, clutching a thermos of chamomile. Her dark hair pulled into a knot that hid the shadows under her eyes. The elevator was her daily rite. 7 floors down, a suspended breath between solitude and the world's roar. He appeared on the 4th day, like punctuation in her routine. Liam Carver, 31, with tousled chestnut hair that begged for fingers to tame it, and a guitar case slung over one shoulder like an old friend. He lived on the 12th. A session musician who'd traded Nashville's spotlights for Seattle's misty anonymity after a band breakup that left scars deeper than chord progressions. That morning, as the doors sighed open on the lobby level, he stepped in, shaking droplets from his jacket, the scent of wet pavement and cedar cologne trailing him. "Rough one out there," he said, voice like a low E string, warm, resonant. Mia nodded, pressing the lobby button harder than necessary, her gaze fixed on the glowing numbers. But elevators have a way of forcing proximity. The car jolted to a stop between 15 and 14, lights flickering like hesitant fireflies. "Power surge," Liam ventured, leaning against the wall with easy nonchalance, his green eyes catching hers in the dim emergency glow. Mia's heart stuttered, not from fear, but the sudden intimacy of shared air. "Or the building's way of saying slow down," she replied, surprising herself with the quip. He chuckled, a sound that vibrated through the space like a bass note. "I'm Liam. 12th floor. You, Mia. 18th. Editor by day, insomniac by night." The lights hummed back, doors parting on the lobby, but as they stepped out into the drizzle, he lingered. "See you on the way up, insomniac." It was nothing, a throwaway line. But in the gray slog of her grief, it felt like sunlight cracking clouds. From there, the elevator became their unspoken stage. Mornings collided with symphonies of small talk. Her thermos clinking against his guitar case, debates over the best rainy day playlists. He swore by Norah Jones, she countered with Joni Mitchell. Afternoons reversed the script, her arms laden with manuscripts, him with sheet music smudged from late-night scribbles. "What's the story today?" he'd ask, peering at the stack like they held state secrets. "A widow finding her way through letters from the lost," she'd say one Tuesday, voice catching on the echo of her own life. Liam's brow furrowed, not pitying but present. "Sounds like the kind that sticks. Like a melody you can't shake." His words lingered, wrapping around her like a melody she couldn't shake. Romance bloomed in those confined ascents, petal by petal. One frost-kissed December evening, as holiday lights twinkled mockingly outside, Mia confessed over the hum of cables. "I keep waiting for the floor to drop out." Mom's gone and it's like the world's missing its anchor. The doors opened on her floor, but she didn't move. Liam set his case down, the car holding its breath. I get that. My band's implosion felt like the rug yanked mid-chorus. But anchors aren't places, Mia. They're people. Moments. He reached out, thumb brushing a tear she hadn't noticed, the touch electric, soft as a downstroke on strings. Their first kiss happened there, suspended between 10 and 11. Tentative tasting of peppermint gum and unspoken permissions. Her hands fisting his scarf as if to steady the spin. When the doors dinged open, they parted laughing, breathless, the world outside none the wiser. But love in a high-rise isn't all smooth descents. Challenges loomed like storm fronts. Mia's grief was a tide that ebbed unpredictably. One night, after a brutal editing session on a memoir too close to home, she snapped in the elevator, shoving past Liam with a mumbled, "Not tonight." He followed her to 1807, knocking until she cracked the door, eyes red-rimmed. "I'm not fragile, Mia. Let me in." Inside, amid stacks of books and the fern's defiant green, she unraveled. Sobs for the mother who'd never see her happy. Fears that joy was betrayal. Liam held her on the couch, no fixes, just his heartbeat against hers, murmuring lyrics he'd written in the dark. "We're not falling, we're flying low." It was raw, that vulnerability, stripping them to essentials. Yet his own shadows crept in. A gig offer from LA, whispers of old bandmates circling back. "What if I chase the music and lose this?" He'd whisper post-kiss, foreheads pressed in the elevator's glow. Mia's challenge mirrored his. Her press demanding a relocation to Portland for a promotion. "Elevators don't run between cities," she'd joke, but the ache was real, a fault line threatening their fragile build. The deepest trial struck on New Year's Eve, when Seattle's skies unleashed a nor'easter that battered the city like unresolved chords. Power failed citywide, plunging Hawthorne into inky chaos. The elevators ground to emergency halts, trapping residents like notes in a held breath. Mia, returning from a solo shift at the press, found herself caught between 20 and 19, the car a coffin of shadows pierced only by her phone's dying flashlight. Panic clawed. Claustrophobia she'd buried since childhood, now amplified by the storm's howl echoing through vents. She pounded the emergency button, breaths shallow, visions of her mother's hospital bed flashing like lightning. Minutes stretched to eternities until, miracle of miracles, the doors pried open manually on 18, and there was Liam, soaked from climbing stairs, a maintenance buddy in tow with tools and a grim nod. He climbed in without a word, wrapping her in his dripping jacket, the scent of rain and resolve grounding her. "Breathe with me, Mia." In like a quarter note, out like the release. They sat cross-legged on the floor, backs to the wall. His guitar case a makeshift table for the candle he'd scavenged. As the storm raged, he played, soft fingerpicks of an original, Elevator Heart, lyrics weaving their story. Stolen glances, tear-streaked confessions, the terror of letting go. Mia's sobs turned to harmony, her voice joining his in fragile falsetto, the notes climbing higher than any floor. "I turned down LA," he admitted when the song faded, vulnerability etching his face in candlelight. "The music's here with you. But Portland." She cupped his cheek, thumb tracing the stubble she'd come to crave. "I told them no. Anchors aren't jobs. They're us, in this ridiculous box, sharing breaths." Their kiss then was fervent, a storm of its own. Hands roaming with the urgency of almost lost, bodies aligning in the cramped space as if the elevator were vast as the sea. Heartfelt, it cracked her open further, not to grief but to grace. "I love you, Liam. Not despite the drops, but because of the rises." Rescue came at midnight, cheers from the lobby filtering up like confetti, but they lingered, emerging hand in hand to cheers from neighbors who'd pieced together the tale via walkie-talkies. From there, their love ascended unapologetically. Challenges persisted. Mia's first Mother's Day, a quiet vigil with Liam's arms as harbor. His dry spells of gigs met with her editing his lyrics into chapbooks that sold out at local cafes. They turned the elevator into legend. Notes tucked in corners for others to find, anonymous encouragements like, The next floor holds more than you think. Weekends blurred into rituals. Pancakes on his balcony overlooking the sound, her head on his chest as he strummed. Rainy afternoons tracing tattoos on his arms, each inked story a chapter she claimed. 2 years on, as cherry blossoms dusted the streets, Liam proposed in that same steel confessor. On one knee amid the hum, a ring box etched with musical staffs, the gem a tiny elevator button etched up forever. Mia's yes was a laugh sob, pulling him up for a kiss that echoed their first. Sweet, suspended, eternal. Now, in their shared 18th floor haven, with a cat named Cord and walls papered in their collaborations, they still ride together. We share one elevator, he'd tease, nuzzling her neck on the descent. And every floor after. Oh friends, if we share one elevator lifted your spirit, made your heart hitch like a stalled car, or simply reminded you of love's quiet ascents, we invite you, warmly, earnestly, to subscribe to Evermore Love. Hit that button for a steady stream of stories that stir the soul and sharpen your English with every turn. Share this with a fellow traveler, and let's keep rising together. Until our next ride, may your own loves go up and up. Endless embraces.